Jess Roimata, thank you for jumping on this chat. I'm really excited. You guys are RnB Soul Train. Thanks for your time. Thanks for coming on board.
That's okay. Thank you for having us.
Now, you guys are a duo down Albany way on the south coast of our beautiful, beautiful WA. I want to talk about working as a duo, as a team. Is there a boss in the group?
In certain aspects, yes.
Yeah.
So, I generally take the role of booking the gigs and keeping up with the socials. And Jess is our visuals. So she'll do, for example, if we're doing an event on Facebook, Jess would do the banner for it.
Yeah, right.
And then I do the write-ups. And then Jess, well, you can tell them about your role.
Yeah, so my main role is supporting Roy.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So I play, I'm the rhythm guitarist and the backing vocalist as well in the duo. But yeah, my main role is I help with the socials as well. So I do a little bit of that. When it comes to booking, Roy really takes the rein on that. We always communicate about what gigs we kind of want to take within the month that we do get those offers, whether we want to take those, where we want to go. Like touring, for example, you know, we have those conversations. Do you want to go up to Lucky Bay or do you want to go up to Bunbury Bossleton and branch out and start touring and sharing our music in other areas as well?
She does do a lot more things.
I bet. But how did those roles evolve? Did you just kind of like get into it and realize that they were your roles, or was that something structured like, hey, like you're really good at that, that's a conscious decision, or was it like something that that's just kind of how it ended up?
I think it's just something that sort of ended up.
Yeah.
And along the way, we've compromised on many tasks too, like setting up and set lists. And I've come to the realization that Jess is much better at doing set lists than I am. And Jess can set up. I don't have to be the only one to be setting up. So as a team, we can now set up with it. If we had to rush, we could set up within 15 minutes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, great. Yeah. Do you have structured conversations? So you said you're really good at communicating, which is, I think, really important. But is it like, hey, it's 1 o'clock on a Tuesday, we're having like band discussion time now? Like, how do you have those conversations?
Yeah. If we could give you examples.
Yeah.
Please,
like straight after a gig, we usually have like a quick debrief. We pat down and then we sit down with our drink from the venue, and we just chill out at the venue. We take a couple of pictures, so we have some promo pictures. And then we debrief. We say, I really like that.
Yeah.
And we've got a diary that we have, and we've been writing gratitude things in there, like things that we're grateful for at every gig that we're playing.
Yeah.
That is gold.
And we played on Melbourne Cup, and there was this little girl, I think she was about 3, turning 4 or maybe 4. And she just starts getting up and she's boogieing around, and then everyone just goes, ah!
Yeah.
That is something that we are grateful for. Like we share gratitude in our diary. And then every time we do a gig, we sit down and we say, hey, what was your favorite part about our show? And, you know, sometimes it's just singing a certain song that she hasn't sung yet with me, doing harmonies with me, because essentially it was just me singing.
Yeah.
I was the only singer. And then Jess built the ear and the encouragement and the confidence to be able to step up to a microphone and start singing.
Yeah, which is gutsy, which is a hard barrier to cross, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of happened because we were at 6 Degrees getting ready for a show, and I said to Jess, I said, there's the microphone there. If you feel like you can step into it, go for it. And she did. And it was to When Doves Cry. And I just remember thinking,
just my gosh, she's
doing
song.
it, guys. She's doing it. That's a wrap. Let's just record the whole thing.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's kind of where her harmony started stepping in. And since then, well, because I'm a vocal coach as well, I've given Jess maybe 1 hour or 2 hours of vocal coaching.
Yeah.
And then the rest she's kind of heard it. So she's a self-taught guitarist, and she's learning how to hear the harmonies, and even different runs with. Because when we're listening to music now, she's paying more attention to vocals, and I'm paying more attention to try and isolate instruments. So I would try and, because that's what Jess used to do. She could listen to specific things in a song, and she hears all the light and shades in them.
Yeah.
And then what she actually does is learning to do is singing with the instruments.
Yeah. Kind of like the harmonies, but the harmonies kind of follow that progression of that drop in that particular song or wherever it be. So now it's about light and shade and contrast for us, especially live. So a lot of the guitar, we do play the same thing, but what we're doing is really cool because we're playing the same thing, but what I do is I do light and shade on my end. So I might be doing hammer-ons. I might be picking up on the melody on the guitar parts to give that light and shade there.
Yeah.
And then we also do this rhythmic thing where we build that up. So the third set, we're very upbeat. We've got this rhythmic kind of guitar thing we've got going on, which is really cool.
Because as an acoustic duo, it's not like you can just like bring in a string section, right? Or just bring in some horns. Like you've got really limited resources there. And you're right, like that light and shade, like that's all we've got to work with, you know? And I think to build that either energy or dynamic, it's a skill set in itself. And so that's great. Yeah, that's very cool, guys.
Yeah.
Coming back to your debrief.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing that? Did you do that from day one? And what are some things you've kind of learned or reflected on that's improved the set? So you got gratitude, which is very important emotionally, but as far as like improving your set from those debriefs, tell us about that.
So a lot of the time we will talk about, I will bring up things that we could change or add to the set, whether that's changing the way we're particularly singing something or adding something within the song. So our debriefing can be about our performance as well and how we're delivering our performance, because that's another thing that we do as artists is we have a particular way to deliver our songs. So in those debriefs, we have those conversations.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And do you ever find that one of you has picked up on something that the other one hasn't? Either the energy in the room changed in a certain place that you want to, you know, do it again, or something you want to avoid. Do you find that because there's two of you, you pick up on different things?
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, cool.
Reading a crowd is probably one of the things I wish I knew how to do sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
In life. Because sometimes you're background music, and other times people are there because they want to see you.
Yeah.
So you kind of got to differentiate the two. And I like to talk. And I don't know if it's because sometimes I just get nervous, I guess.
Yeah, right.
And then I talk. Like I can just talk and just like, all right, we're gonna sing the song now.
Yeah. I can relate to that. Now, but sometimes we're storytellers, right?
Yeah,
like we've got the songs mean something to us, and we want to share that with someone else, right? So
of course.
I totally get that. That.
Yeah.
And so what about like tours and things like that? Do you consciously decide, hey, like we want to do a couple of tours out to Esperance, or we want to head to the Southwest or Perth or wherever? Like, how far ahead do you plan and have that foresight?
It's about 4 to 5 months, eh?
Yeah. Sometimes it really depends on what we want to achieve. When we did our first single launch, we went to Esperance.
Yeah.
Then we were in Albany,
Denmark,
and then
we did Denmark. That was
Denmark.
Yeah.
So we branched from Denmark all the way to Esperance to, you know, showcase our single, and that was our very first sort of single tour, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
And it was just like it's so fun being on the road.
Yeah.
And knowing that you've just released your music and you've got a purpose to this tour.
Yeah.
I don't know, it just makes it like a bit more exciting, I guess.
Yeah.
Because you're touring with something.
Yeah, I find it hits a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
You know, but there's almost like a little bit more purpose to the
Yeah.
music, right?
Yeah.
And there's more to share, there's more meaning behind it. Yeah, but that's really cool. And that 4 to 5 months probably lines up with as well when venues are booking. You know, they're normally obviously a few months out. So if you try to plan too much at last minute, like everything's kind of booked out.
Yeah, and then there's the thing of it being too long as well. So we're finding we were trying to line up a bigger tour, but we were looking at a year out, and then we were having the issue of, oh, we're not even looking at that yet. We're not even, touching that diary yet. So, yeah, it's almost like you've got a sweet spot. It's like over a year might be too long, but that 4 to 6 months seem to be okay for being to get it ahead and book.
And so, Jess, you know, we mentioned that you do the set list.
Yeah.
What do you try and achieve when you're building that set list?
So the biggest thing I think about is where we're playing. So that's the first thing. What time we're playing. Time slot's always a factor.
Yeah.
5 to 8 slots a little later, we might be a bit more upbeat for the evening. If it's a Sunday session and we're between 2 to 5, or it's an afternoon session, it kind of opens it up for us to be able to do a lot of what we want to focus and do, which is our original music. So there's particular venues we find which are more suited for that setting of the original music. And then there's functions and parties where we might feel more inclined to do more cover songs. So when I'm looking at a set list, that's usually the first thought I'm thinking about: where we're playing, what time we're playing.
Great.
Then, I think about the element of how to showcase what we do the best way. So what I mean by that is we play a very diverse range of songs and covers as well, and they all highlight something different about what Roy and I do. So we do, the first set tends to be a bit softer, tends to be more delicate, tends to have more originals, and then we're kind of building up for the second set. The tempo kind of increases a little, and then we're playing songs like From Dreams from Fleetwood Mac, and maybe some of those middle ground originals that have that kind of middle tempo. And then the last set tends to be more of an upbeat set, and that's how I usually run the set list.
Cool. And over the 3 hour, because obviously a lot of the shows are 45-minute sets. That, what would you say your split is percentage of original music to covers?
Okay, so we're trying to build that at the moment. We've got one full set basically, so 45 minutes.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And that's inclusion of my solo songs that I've written as well prior to being Jess as a duo. That Jess really loves. I guess I love them too. So we are in the process of writing more at the moment. We've got about 7 songs on the go.
Great. But it's a balance sometimes, right? Because you can't, you know, a lot of the times when we are playing these sorts of pub gigs, Sunday sessions, you know, people aren't necessarily there to hear
that's right,
original music, which is a challenge, right? So kind of like just delicately slotting that in there. You know, sneaking some in with it still kind of, you know, being in the right mood is is a challenge. Something I am interested in, do you look back at your set and the songs that you were playing, you know, years ago, compared to what you do now, and just either your confidence with those songs, how well those songs are arranged, or the selection of songs at the time?
So they've grown and they've changed over 3 years. So if we went back and looked at Shackles Praise You, our first video that we ever did of us just jamming, it has come a long way. I'm doing a lead break in there. I'm singing harmonies with Roy now. You do progress and change your set as you play together, and you become more of that foundation. Those songs transform, and we found that they've transformed into our own versions of those songs, which is fantastic. So we don't play them like the song itself. We're doing an RnB Soul Train spin on that song. And we've been able to find that over the 3 years of performing together. So when we started, I had 2 weeks to get a full set together with Roy.
I already sort of was playing
okay.
around as a soloist, and then I had previous duos. But yeah, it was great that Jess was able to pick up the song so quickly.
Yeah.
Because well, I've been a musician for a very long time, but I've been a performing musician for about 10-ish years, maybe a bit longer.
Yeah.
And it's so important when someone can pick things up really quickly, especially because it gives me a little bit of freedom to not have to stress so much, I guess, about her playing. She stresses a little bit about my playing, I have to say, because let me tell you, I am no perfect guitarist, but I like to say I am.
Yeah. It's like it's a funny thing because Roy will sometimes just go off in a tangent, and I have to catch that, and I do, and it's remarkable now after 3 years of that. Because Roy will do that. She might extend a verse, a chorus. She might do something or forget something, and then I'm just going to jump in and kind of go with her on that or extend that. And that's a remarkable thing that comes in time as well when you work with someone, especially because we're in a relationship, we love each other, so we've got that component as well. I think that is remarkable because in music, because you read each other without actually looking at each other sometimes. And I've seen it in other duos. It can be brothers and sisters. It's either family orientated or when you're working with a person that you love, you have this unspoken connection, and it does develop. But
that's not easy to find or make, right?
No.
Like it either comes with an incredible amount of time or an incredible amount of understanding of the people, right? And I was going to ask actually, like, are there things that you just kind of know, like, twins kind of talk to each other like without speaking, right? Like, and I think something really magical happens there when the music just it's almost its own being. It takes off on its own steam, right? And it's unpredictable. Like you've got no idea, and it's just like its own river flowing. And I think that to me is the beauty of a live show. Like when something can just kind of go. That's cool. And like you guys are a couple. Like, how do you balance music and separate that from personal life?
It is tricky. And you do find you talk about it. Like you're just going to talk about it. We might get up in the morning, we're doing what we're normally doing, and then all of a sudden we're talking about music. And that is something that when we got together, the passion for the music came first. So friendship and passion for music was first. The love blossomed afterwards. We had this passion together, and we knew that. So we find it's always there. Like we don't separate it. We just live our life and
right.
What do you reckon?
We definitely separate.
Okay,
I know when the time is called to separate music from our relationship, and then we'll do little things like as little as going on a little date somewhere.
We'll do that.
A little picnic, go out of town.
Nice.
Take a break. Take a break from music.
We have taken a large amount of breaks since 3 years ago, since we formed, I should say. And we've had breaks in the year. And so I've purposely made it that way when I'm booking, because
that's why she does the bookings.
So there's specific dates where I don't want us working. Like when we announced to our friends we got together, you know, like I don't book us on those days.
No.
Now that we're married, I don't book us on our anniversary.
Or special day.
Valid.
And like Valentine's and all that kind of stuff. I don't book us those weekends, so we can have that time together.
Yeah, good. That's cute. I love that.
Roy said like New Year's, like we're having first year being married, we're not working New Year's this year. So stuff like that is it really important.
That's great. I love that. Thanks for sharing that, guys. I appreciate that. I'd like to dovetail here over to Jess, you have a role at a pub down there, Wilson's Brewing Co.
Yep.
And you book artists there, paid artists that perform for 3 hours, and you run an open mic there as well.
Yeah. Yep.
The open mic, first of all, what have you found to be one of the biggest fears people have to getting up in front of that microphone?
It's so vulnerable. It's the most vulnerable feeling, and you hear that constantly. It's intimidating. It's scary. It's they're sharing a side of them that they've hidden away from the world. So it can be very intimidating. And getting around that, I think, is quite tricky. But if you have the right environment and kind of like the right people around supporting, it can feel a lot more comfortable. And that was the goal with the open mic at Wilson's, was to create a very comfortable setting, not a pressurized setting. People could feel relaxed. And we got a very big compliment actually from a performer come down to the last one, and he had said, this is a really lovely vibe. It's very relaxed and you feel very comfortable. Yeah. So, and he wants to play the future one coming up. So it's really important, I think, the atmosphere component and looking after the people that are coming to perform as well. We make sure they get a rider as well. We provide a drink for them too, and encourage, to always come back, and we support too. We're there and cheering them on, and it's if you have a nice atmosphere and crowd element to it, it can help artists get over the nerves a bit. Yeah,
totally. And I almost think of it as a little community, right? Like you're all kind of in the same boat together, and if you can find a group of people that are non-judgmental and supportive of entering, as you said, a very vulnerable is a really good word for that. I really like that. A really vulnerable space. It can do wonders for people's confidence. And so, and because I know you've been down there for a while, have you seen the development of people through the open mic scene?
Yeah, we've got Marty and Dave who play pretty much every week, every month that we were up there, and they always come down. And they just they've been playing for years, but they get better and better every time. But we've had younger crew as well get up and have a go. Huxley was 7. I think he's 7, isn't he? Yeah, we had a 7-year-old and 8-year-old get up at the first couple of ones as well, which is just Hey. Oh yeah, and then Jean as well. So we had a younger 16-year-old who did original music, which was fantastic.
Great.
And this is what this space should be about encouraging the up and coming young artists as well, even the older artists that have been doing it for a while that want to just have some fun. And such a diverse crowd that you get doing these kind of open mics, and we support comedy as well. We support spoken word, anything like that is welcome.
Because sometimes I think that diversity is important. Even if you are a somewhat regular or semi-regular open mic performer, being exposed to other people's styles, particularly in a town where there may not be an awful lot of live music that comes through, it can be a great way for someone to be like, oh wow, like there's some elements of what that person's doing that I think that I could really kind of take on, or I like their stage presence, or I like the way they spoke about this song or that song. And I think diversity is one thing I can definitely agree with in the open mic scene. That's a very valuable part for performers. But then moving from the open mic stuff to the paid gig. Now, I remember the first time I tried that as a singer. That felt like there was leagues of difference between doing an open mic set, or even back-to-back open mic sets, to kind of getting up and actually asking money from someone to pay to play. What do you look for when you book those artists? If they're pitching to you to play at a really great pub, a gorgeous environment, for a paid gig, what are you looking for from them?
So at the moment, it's a bit of a stretch. We're going for 3 hours, but what I'm going to start to do is a rotation of multiple artists. So this has been rattling around for a little while. The idea of bringing in, doing a weekend session between 2 to 5, but having 3 multiple artists, and that's going to derive from that open mic scene. So I've already got a few people in mind that I'm going to approach to do this. And I think this is a great avenue and a way for people to go from doing that open mic to working into getting a set together, to be able to share a set with multiple artists and make it more comfortable in that element as well, because they're all kind of up and coming, not pressurizing them to go, we need 3 hours of music. I think the slot times are long, and I think it takes a while to get yourself up to getting 3 hours of music together.
Totally.
Yeah. So I think it's not about what I want from a person. I think it's how I can create something for them so that they have an avenue to be able to perform. And I did this at the previous establishment when we were on South Coast Highway, and
cool.
It was really good. It was always good to have multiple artists up, and we had this diverse range of performers who were up and coming, who just had an hour together. And I did that a few times out there. Yeah,
that's really cool. How do people approach you for those kind of slots? How does someone get in touch, and what do they send you?
So usually, it would be via email. Don't want a gig, so it's always, most of the time it comes through email. If sometimes I get a phone call or get someone to drop in, majority of the time it's through email, and it is just describing who they are, what they do. Some people provide me with EPK, which are great. Electronic press kits are awesome because it just gives me everything I need about that artist, what they do, and I can find everything. So the biggest thing is finding things like your social media handles and stuff like that. I spend a bit of time doing that if somebody doesn't provide that to me. So usually what I'm looking for is an idea for performance and what they're doing. And then I'd suss it and see if it's something that we could put in the venue.
So an EPK, because this is something that I learned far later than what I should have. What is an EPK in summary?
Okay, so an EPK is basically a summary of you as an artist. So it's the introduction of who you are and what you do. It might be inclusive of your achievements, where you've been, what you've played, who you've played with, your single releases and things like that. You might have a press release in there for a single that you've done. Interviews, radio interviews, they can be handy to have access to. Social media links, website links. Yeah.
And so an EPK doesn't have to be like a fancy website. It could just be like a one-page PDF Word doc with a couple of pictures and links and stuff on it, or bio and stuff like that. And then coming back to you guys, like, what's next? Where are we off to next? What are we doing next? What's on your agenda from here?
So you'll have to follow us and like us for more info.
Love it.
Yeah. No, we actually we're in the process of choosing a producer, planning to do an EP, and we're not set on where or who with yet. We have in the past worked with 2 other producers. But we're looking to sort of, I guess, when we're on a tour, maybe up in Bunbury, perhaps there might be a producer there that we might work with, or maybe in Perth. We're just trying to put our feelers out there to see what kind of producers there are that we can potentially work with.
Yeah, that would suit us. Yeah, suit what we're doing. I think producing music with 2 acoustic guitars and vocals sounds simple, but I think when you get in the studio, it starts to get way more complicated.
It's actually not that
simple.
No, I totally agree.
So there's that. We are writing more. We have, I'm not sure on what the EP is going to look like. I'm not sure if it's going to be the songs that we're writing now or the songs that we have written. We're still trying to decide that, because we want to keep some things that people can't have. So I guess some songs that we don't record, they have to come and see us to be able to hear it.
That's true.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, I like that.
Do that. Yeah.
So in a sense, there's some gems that we have that I'm not sure that people can purchase.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. They have to come and watch us to hear them.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
I like that idea. Bit of exclusivity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool, guys. Thank you so much for chatting and sharing everything. Like, I really appreciate it. I love it
Thank
when
you.
musicians are just really kind of just honest and
Yeah.
sharing stuff that we so rarely get the chance to chat about. Yeah, I'm really excited to hear whatever comes next. I'll have to be following and subscribing to do that. Thanks again, guys. Really
Thank
appreciate that.
you.
Thanks for having us.